अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पवनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। आनन्दलीलमय विग्रहाय मबदिविचविसुन्दराय तस्मै महाप्रेमरसप्रदाय चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। संसारदुःखजलदोपतितस्य कामक्रोधदिनाक्रमकरैकवलीकृतस्य दुर्वासिनं निगदितस्य निराश्रयस्य चैतन्यचन्द्र मम देहि पदावलम्बम्। तवैव अस्मि न जीवमि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वं नैमं चरणन्तिके। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Everyone together. Hare Krishna कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। First of all, my unlimited Dandavat pranams to lotus feet of Guru Pada Padma Nitilo Prishtam Vishnu Pada Stotra Satya Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Shiksha Gurudev Om Vishnu Pada Stotra Satya Srimad Bhaktivedanta Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga, all dear Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, dear guests, Hare Krishna. Very happy to be here in Trinidad and Tobago for the first time. I know that this is a place for Vedic culture because many of you were born in Vedic culture and next to Vedic culture, next to Bhagavad Dharma. So from the very beginning you were hearing the names of Radha and Krishna, Sita and Ram. So these days our visit will have some festivals. Ekadashi tomorrow, Varaha Dvadashi day after tomorrow. After 3 days, Sri Nityananda Trayodashi. So, but just coming up to these festivals, we'll start hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, because that is the best subject. So many books are there in the Vedic wisdom, but Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly the most exalted, the pivot of all Bhagavad Dharma. That is the most important scripture. So long ago, before the beginning of Kali Yuga, just before beginning of Kali Yuga, and just after Lord Sri Krishna departed from the surface of this planet, many hundreds of thousands of Maharishis, great devotees, assembled in a very pious place, Naimisharanya. So they were thinking how to save the world from the perishable influence of Kali Yuga. So Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga. In each Yuga, there was some method to achieve perfection. In Kali Yuga, what is the method of achieving perfection? That is certainly chanting of the holy name. Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, Gatiraneta. So if in Satya Yuga, that is meditation, dhyan. If in Dwapara Yuga, that is fire sacrifice. In Treta Yuga, that is worshipping the deities in the temple. And Kali Yuga, that is chanting of the holy name. No other way, no other way, no other way. Only chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name. So therefore, certainly the sages knew that, but they knew that the Kali Yuga is the ocean of faults. Kaler dosha nide rajan esti gunar maham gunar kirtanam eva krishnasya mukta sangam param rajet. Certainly Kali Yuga is the ocean of faults, but there is no other way to achieve perfection as only to chant the holy name. So they were performing that sacrifice, and they saw so much black smoke coming up. But then they were thinking, oh, we have to hear Harikatha. And this yagya, Harikatha yagya, this sacrifice of chanting of the holy name, and this chanting of Harikatha and hearing Harikatha is the best sacrifice during Kali Yuga. So that's why they started thinking, oh, who is most elevated personality? So they requested Sri Ramaharshana Sutta. I'm sorry, it's Sri Ugrashrava Sutta, the son of Ramaharshana Sutta, inspired by Lord Balaram to speak. So Suta Goswami started speaking. And the sages submitted 6 questions to respected Suta Goswami. They said that, oh, great sage, you are well versed in all Puranas, in all the scriptures, in the religious life. So you have understood all the imports of Vedic knowledge and you have realized that. So you have to also know what is the greatest good for all humanity. So that was the first question. What is the greatest good? What is the highest benefit human beings can achieve in this lifetime? So also they asked him 5 more questions. And those questions were, what is the essence of all scriptures? There are so many Vedic scriptures, Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, so many goals are set up, so many methods of achievement of those goals are set up. But what is the essence? That is question 2. Now question 3. What is the reason Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, descended to this earth? Many, many, many reasons. So, so many avatars also we know from Vedic culture, and you know that so many Rama, Nrisimha, Vamana, Varaha. We'll be celebrating Varaha, Dvadashi day after tomorrow, etc. But what is the source of all incarnations? Which of them is the center? Question 4. Oh, all those incarnations, all those avatars performed so many pastimes. So please tell us about all those pastimes. So question, rather request, please tell us about the pastimes of those avatars. And what actions the Supreme Lord performs to create this material world, Srishti Lila, create the material world, to sustain this material world and to destroy. Also, one of the questions, question 5. And question 6. Now, the inauspicious age is coming, Kali Yuga is coming, and Krishna has disappeared from the surface of this planet. So, what about the religious principles? Where have the religious principles found their resting place after Krishna's disappearance? So then, Suta Goswami started answering, but before he started answering, he spoke the 3 initial shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, the invocation. Invocation, then Vastu Nirdesh, delineating the subject of the narration, and Ashirvad, the blessing which is given to the hearers. So he said, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Tanvadash Dirtesh Chattesh Vabhigya Swarat Tini Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Moyanti Yatsure Tejavari Mridam Yatha Vinimaya Taratar Sargam Risha Dhamnasvena Sadanirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Satyam Param Dhimahi, he said, I'm meditating on the absolute truth. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra, the 550 verses in which the essence of all Vedas are given. So Srimad Bhagavatam is commenting on the very first verse of Vedanta Sutra, Janmadyasya Yataha. In this very verse we just heard, 1.1.1, Janmadyasya Tanvayaditaratesh Chartesh Vigya Svarat. So our Guru Parampara, Srila Gurudev Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj gave us the key to this verse. He explained about the 5 meanings. So the first meaning is elementary meaning, which is seen very clearly on the surface. So, Janmadyasya Tanvayad Itaratas Charteshva Vigyasvarat. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is one without the second. He is the initial tattva. He is the eternal, filled with eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And from him, the jivas, the living entities, and also the material world are coming. So he is one without the second, and that is perceived from this verse, both directly and indirectly. So directly, Anvayat, he is the Supreme Personality. And indirectly, Vidaratash, he is present also as the jivas, as the living entities, and also as the inert matter. So there are many philosophies regarding that, how the jivas manifested, how the material world, this inert matter manifested. So just now we celebrated Madhvacharya's, Ramanujacharya's disappearance. Those Vaishnavacharyas, they have their conceptions. But basically Shankaracharya was saying that everyone is one, everything is one. He is saying that living entities and this material world are also Narayan, also Brahman, they're saying, but like covered by illusion, but that's completely fallacious conception. But then Vaishnava Acharyas were saying about the doctrine of parinama, means transformation. So the jivas, living entities, and the matter are like parinama, like transformation of the Supreme Lord. But our line, coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is saying, no, never there is transformation of the Lord himself. But what is the transforming agent then? Oh, those are the energies of the Supreme Lord. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. So Vevaki Bala Gyana Kriyacha, varieties of energies. Sandini, Samvit Hladini are most prominent. So because of the transformation of those energies, the jivas manifest and the material world manifest. So when Krishna is very, very close to his jiva shakti, the energy of the living entity, then the living entity manifested. When he's very, very close to the Maya Shakti, to the material energy, then all the material phenomena manifest. So that is Itaratash, or in a, secondary way, in a indirect way, he is the center of all. So, Janmadyasya Tanvayatitarateshcha Vigya Svarat, saying. Then, the deeper meaning. The deeper meaning is that Krishna is Rasika Shekhara. He is the source of all rasa, of all the great, great manifestations of loving relationship. So that is the second meaning. So then, deeper meaning is that Radha and Krishna are there. So, and then still deeper meaning, number 4, is that Teja Varimridam. So generally Teja Varimridam means, the Teja means fire, and the other 2 means water and earth. So these elements are prominent. But Teja means fire. But Teja pertains to Srimati Radhika, Krishna's internal energy. So Srimati Radhika is the source of inspiration of Krishna even. Krishna is so much inspired by Srimati Radhika. Krishna is fully under the shelter of Srimati Radhika. That is the deepest meaning. So, if the third meaning is that sometimes Krishna and Radha and Krishna are together, and sometimes they are in separation. Anvayad means directly, means they are meeting, and separated, itaratash. Then here, in the fourth meaning, Teja of Srimati Radhika is the source of inspiration for Krishna. Krishna is Madan Mohan. He has controlled even Madan, even Lord of this world, God of this world, I mean, Cupid. But Radhika is Madana Mohana Mohini. That's how she is even controlling Krishna. And that's the fifth meaning, the most important meaning is Radha and Krishna together, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is the greatest fifth meaning. So then Suta Goswami started speaking these verses, and he was remembering what he heard from Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Before, Shukadeva Goswami told these pastimes of Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit. So those very shlokas, Shukadeva, Sri Suta Goswami had heard, and he was retelling them now. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramanirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavatam Mahamuni krite kimva prairishvare sadhya hridya varudyate trakriti vishushurashubhistak kshanat. Srimad Bhagavatam is fully rejecting all dharmas, all the religious principles which are kaitava, which are not true, which are like cheating. Dharma projita kaitava. Kaitava dharma, or cheating religion is projita, is rejected by Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is establishing only the highest ideals. Those ideals which are higher even than Varnashrama Dharma, the system of the four social and spiritual orders existing in society. Even temporary duties, all types of Naimittika Dharma, temporary duties existing in society. All worship of many demigods, Srimad Bhagavatam is rejecting. I know that in your community, many people are worshipping different avatars, also Lord Shiva. But Srimad Bhagavatam is saying no, only Vrajendra Nandan Shyama Sundar Krishna is the supreme object of worship. And that comes from the very first words of Srimad Bhagavatam which has been hearing. So therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is rejecting all artificial manifestations of religion and also all secondary manifestations. So the essence of Bhagavata Purana manifested in the hearts of self-realized souls. And those self-realized souls gave the impulse of Srimad Bhagavatam to their disciples, generation after generation. Guru to disciple, this knowledge was being disseminated in the world. This is the highest truth which gives living entity possibility to tell what is the truth and what is the illusion. So first, Bhagavan Sri Krishna put these essential truths into the heart of Brahma. Brahma gave them to Narada, Narada gave to Vyasa. So Vyasa heard these truths in the period of his highest maturity. So we'll be hearing Narada and Vyasa Samvat one of these days, how Narada Muni told this spiritual knowledge to Vyasa. So Srimad Bhagavatam is enough for realizing spiritual truths. No need of any other scriptures. Very deep truths. Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all the Vedic scriptures. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shulkamudadamrita drava samyatam vibhata bhagavatam rasayam alayam mahura harasika bhuvi bhavakam. All expert and thoughtful men relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of all Vedic literatures. So It emanated from the lotus feet, lotus mouth of Sri Suta Gosvami. And since Shukadeva Goswami, being the transcendental parrot, being the transcendental Shuka, or the parrot of Srimati Radhika, that is his original position. When the parrot puts his beak, touches the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge, then all Vedic knowledge comes into the heart, comes by coming into his heart, it becomes even sweeter. So then you can imagine how many people were able to taste that nectar, which became even more relishable after being touched by Sri Shukadeva Goswami, Sri Suta Goswami, and all the members of our Guru Parampara. So that nectar is just unimaginably sweet. Or Srila Gurudev was saying that that fruit contains no skin, what to speak of seed, not even seed inside, only the sweetest pulp. So that is Srimad Bhagavatam. So only Rasika devotees can explain the imports of Srimad Bhagavatam. Those permeated with Ras can speak about Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm very, very destitute, unqualified, but Srila Gurudeva spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to us, and he told us the imports of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Vikriditam vrajavadu viridam cha vishnu shraddhanvito nashranaya tatavarnayada. Bhaktim param bhagavatam pratilobhya kamam hridrogam ashvapahinote chire nadhira. Those who listen to the heroic pastimes of Sri Krishna and his associates, Kriditam, Vrajavadubir, especially the gopis of Vraj, that is the highest narration of Srimad Bhagavatam found in the 10th canto, as we'll be listening in our last, or one before last and last classes here. So those narrations fully purify the heart, and they treat the heart from the great, great disease. What is that disease? Hridroga, disease of heart. Roga means disease. That is lust. Lust in this world manifests by tendency to control, by tendency to enjoy this material world. So those who control, those who try to control, those who try to enjoy, they become afflicted by that disease of lust. But when you hear Srimad Bhagavatam from self-realized soul, from a Rasika devotee, then bhakti comes to the heart first. When the doctor gives you medicine, what comes first? Energy comes, health comes, and then disease leaves automatically. So everybody is qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Everybody whose heart is pure, everybody whose heart is sincere, even that person may be fallen, may be uneducated, may be dull, having bad character, doesn't matter. It's not at all a disqualification. Srimad Bhagavatam brings the highest benefit to the living entities in the form of the cure for the disease of lust. So that's why, from the very, very beginning, Shukadeva Goswami said to Maharaj Parikshit, and then Suta Goswami repeated to the others. He said that, oh, wise and thoughtful man, please hear the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let your hearts will be permeated by rasa, because rasa brings great pleasure for the soul. The soul becomes so happy, and the soul meets Super Soul, Paramatma, or Krishna within the heart. So in the high class of association, that is necessary. Bhagavatam, Snavirasthane, at Chaitanya Charane. Those who hear Srimad Bhagavatam from self-realized souls, they will definitely get greatest treasure of love of Krishna. So that is the system which goes through Guru Parampara. So we're very, very lucky. We heard something, so we want to share what Srila Gurudev was speaking to us. So then, Sri Suta Gosvami continued to speak. But if some devotees want to sing some bhajan right now, I think it would be useful to sing one bhajan, because the subject is very deep and we'll want to make one break for maybe 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes. You can sing one bhajan, then we'll continue hearing of what Sri Suta Goswami was answering to the sages of Naimisharanya. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Srimad Bhagavatam Purana ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga ki jai, Paramarajitam Guru Pad Padma ki jai. So, Sri Suta Goswami started speaking. So, first of all, he glorified Sri Suta Gosvami and Pravrijatam Anapetyam Apetu Kritim Dvaipayana Viraha Katara Juhava Putre Pitam Mayatayo Taravo Dine Dustam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Animanatosmi. I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to this great sage, Shukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. Sarvabhuta Hridayam is so important to know that that kind of personality can enter everyone's heart. Sarvabhuta Hridayam. He knows the heart of all. Such is Shri Guru. He sees the truth and he sees the condition of every heart. Shri Guru is so much deeply absorbed in trance of devotional service that often he cannot see the sufferings of the living entities. Even because of his mercy to them, he comes down to the platform of Madhyama devotee of medium qualification, and he sees all the sufferings of the living entities. So he brings them this nectar of devotion in the form of Bhagavat Katha, narration of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's how valuable this Hari Katha, this Bhagavatam recitation is. So, Narayanam namaskritya naramscheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. Sri Suta Goswami said, before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances into Narayana, Supreme Lord, Narayana Rishi, manifested as Krishna and Arjuna, and Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Sri Vyasadeva, the author. So Sri Suta Goswami was very, very happy. He said, "Oh dear sages, I'm very, very happy to have heard all those questions from you. All those questions are very worthy because they relate to Sri Krishna. Perfect questions, perfect answers." So we just heard the 6 perfect questions by the sages, and Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the answer to those 6 questions. So then Sri Suta Goswami is starting to answer question number 1, which was that, what is the highest good for the human beings, for the living entities? Savai pumsam paro dharmo adhokshaje ahaitukya pratihata eyatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation, the supreme dharma for all humanity is that by which man can attain pure devotional service to the Transcendent Lord. That occupation, that activity is the highest. Because such devotional service is fully selfless, is fully unmotivated and uninterrupted. Like Srila Gurudev was saying, like the flow of honey from the upside down jar. So when something cannot really be interrupted and cannot be stopped by all material means, that is actually the highest nectar. And certainly that nectar can fully satisfy the self. In this material world, how many portions of, where's that boy? The ice cream we can take, maybe 5, 7, after that you're finished, you got sore throat. But Srimad Bhagavatam is the nectar upon hearing which the sincere devotee knows no satiation. It will never bring any satiation. You can drink that endlessly. You can hear that without any end. So then, Suta Goswami, Suta Goswami after him was saying, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janaitya Shavairagyam Gyanam Chayadharhaitukam. So, in this material world, people who seek knowledge, they cultivate that knowledge. Mostly that knowledge is material. That knowledge is finite. Finally, you will not get satisfaction by knowing the amount of atoms all over the universe, the amount of the stars in the universe, etc., then some best of people, they disappoint in this material knowledge, and they take up the path of renunciation. So renunciation leads to jnana, the impersonal knowledge of the Supreme Absolute. That is the knowledge of another category. But that type of jnana, that impersonal knowledge, is quite contrary to the nature of the jiva, of the living entity. What is natural for the jiva? What is natural for the living entity? Only pure devotional service, pure bhakti. Anyabilasita shunyam jnana karma delamritam anukuliyana krishnanushilanam bhakti ruttama. You remember that example with the upside down jar of honey which flows endlessly? So that devotional service is only natural for the soul, which will definitely satisfy the soul completely. So that cultivation, right? Krishna Anushilanam, which is directed exclusively for happiness of Krishna. That is the process of pure devotional service. That process of devotional service must be devoid of all unnecessary features, jnana, karma, reward-seeking activity, karma, or knowledge, empirical knowledge, or knowledge of the impersonal absolute. So that cultivation of pure devotion must be fully devoid of those mixtures. That's why only in that case that will be pure. But by entering devotional service, jnana and vairagya, knowledge and renunciation, will be automatically achieved. That person will be naturally filled with bhakti and devoid of all unnecessary tendencies like jnana, vairagya, etc. So people of this world are very much concerned with dharma. So in Indian culture, you know very well, dharma takes the primary role. Everybody is speaking about dharma. But the definition of dharma differs from in many cases, in terms of people's understanding of dharma. What is that? But here Suta Goswami at once, addressing his speech to the sages of Naimisharanya, said, Dharma sunushtita pumsam vikshasena kathasuya not padayate tiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. So many people spend their time for fulfilling their obligations in dharma so much. They observe the principles of varnashrama, 4 social and 4 spiritual orders of society. They want to achieve certain results within varnashrama. They want karmic results, jnanic results. They may be doing some yoga, for example. But if those tendencies are devoid of Shuddha Bhakti, the tendency to perform selfless, pure, loving devotional service to Krishna, that is called by Suta Goswami in this word shrama. Shrama means pointless waste of time. This is called shrama. Shrama eva hi kevala. So you can be an ideal husband, an ideal citizen, an ideal specialist, an ideal yogi, vairagi, jnani, but without devotional service, that is quite useless. Shrama, waste of time, waste of time. Like people of this world, often we see when we circumambulate the holy mountain of Govardhan, Govardhan everybody knows. So when we circumambulate Govardhan, we see people building little houses or big houses, some 2 stories, some 3 stories, some 5-storied buildings. It means I want 5-storied house, or I want 5-star hotel, or whatever. But that is what? Shrama. That is pointless, waste of time. But the process is good. Certainly, circumambulate Govardhan is very good. But if that goes without pure devotion to Krishna, then it's quite useless. Then you get secondary results, very insignificant results, and you get cheated by Giriraj Maharaj. That's why our Gurudev was saying, don't try to cultivate your material desires while you're residing in Vraj, while you're circumambulating Govardhan, residing in any high level of holy places. So then you'll be cheated. Also, our Guru Varga is using such an example. What's the point of asking a millionaire for $10 or anyway, $100? What's the point if you can receive the whole million? What's the point of asking for some insignificant results? So, but people are illusioned. That's why they misinterpret the term of dharma. They, how to say, make that term very, very narrow, only concerning karma or jnana or any superficial process. Dharmasya hepavagyasya anarthartha kalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamolavaya hismrita. So the occupational duties the person performs certainly meant for ultimate liberation, means Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service. They should not be performed for material gain, said Sri Suta Gosvami very, very clearly. So if you have the highest process, why do you apply that process for insignificant results? Like if you have a great, great car, what is, I don't know, the most Cadillac, Rolls Royce, whatever, why do you use it, for some, petty engagements? But to use it, bring it to the highway, Don't just use it for riding 200 meters to your, I don't know, garden. No, bring it to the highway and give it full speed. Then it will bring the highest result. So therefore, according to the sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense enjoyment. So same example with circumambulating Govardhan. If you use that for sense enjoyment, then you're cheated by Govardhan, and most sadly, you're cheating yourself. Yeah. So all those tendencies should not be used for kama, for sense enjoyment, but by prema. Then one very important verse, Suta Goswami said, actually this verse is called Vyasa Kuta, the puzzle for Vyasadeva. When Vyasa was dictating Srimad Bhagavatam, Ganesh was recording. And Vyasa made Ganesh promise. Oh Ganesh, you please record, but you record Srimad Bhagavatam only in that case if you've understood the meaning completely. All right? Okay. But at this point, when Vyasadeva pronounced this verse from the second chapter, we're now seeing into second chapter, the 11th verse of the second chapter, first canto, then he stopped. What was that verse? Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmati bhagavaniti shabdite. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as the Absolute Truth, and that Absolute Truth is manifested in the three features as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The impersonal Brahman, the non-differentiated Absolute, the localized aspect of Bhagavan means Paramatma, or Super Soul in the heart, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So how is it simultaneously the Lord is present in these three features? Ganesh was not able to understand. So after Vyasadeva spent some time with him and explained the imports of these three, then Ganesh resumed recording. So the Supreme Lord is the highest friend for everyone. In the heart of every jiva soul, the Supreme Lord is present as Paramatma, Super Soul. But also, He is everywhere, like the all-pervading ether, the space pervading everything. So in that same way, as Brahman, He is present everywhere. But simultaneously, as the tiny jivas, tiny sparks, particles of consciousness, spiritual sparks were different from Him. And He is also present, most significantly, as the Supreme Personality. So the Supreme Personality of Bhagavan is the source of all the other two manifestations, Brahma and Paramatma. So how is that? Oh, it takes lifetimes to understand. Even Ganesh, you see, stopped while recording. So when we understand those imports, those differences between those manifestations, then we'll be able to understand Bhagavan, the Supreme Manifestation, in the process of Shuddha Bhakti, of pure devotional service. So then Suta Goswami told the sages something more about how to realize the Supreme Absolute through hearing, through the process of hearing. So in order to achieve success, he said, Tasmagatena manasa bhagavan satvatam patihi shrotavyam kirtitavyascha deya pujyascha nityada. So with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember and worship personality of Godhead, who is the protector of all devotees. So living entities in this world have many goals. Mostly those goals are egoistic. But we concentrate with one pointed attention, we try to achieve those goals. People go to America, work every day very hard, wake up at 4 o'clock, stand in jams for 2 hours, 3 hours before they get to the office, then the same in the evening. And then they take so many antidepressants, as a result. Anyway, but that's one point of attention. But that one point of attention brings what? Nothing but disappointment. Because that is, as we heard before, shrama means pointless waste of time. Waste of time. Yes, but many of you are working and you can be surprised. Oh, but we have to support our life. How will we do? Or what will we do? Definitely we will do. But from the point of view of bhakti, we will do. From the point of view of Shuddha bhakti or pure devotion, that will be called nitya dharma, no? Or naimittika dharma. Means like everyday activities or some special activities of the special circumstances. So those activities will be supporting our devotional service. So we have to work definitely in this world. Most of us, we are family people. We're not renunciants as us. We're from Vrindavan, so we, how to say, try to dedicate all our time for this pure devotional service process. Mostly people around the world. So anyway, without attachment, we're dedicating the results to the Supreme in the process of karma yoga, dedicating the results of your work, then we'll be definitely at success finally. So with sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? Oh yes, that's why. You are very pious people, you are people of faith, so you know that this karma binds everyone. These activities of the world bind everyone. That's why so much beneficial for you that you find time and hear the Lord's message and you form your life in such a way that you can remember the Lord's message. And by remembering, with the sharp sword in hand, you will be able to cut through the binding force of karma, the activities, reward-seeking activities. But how will we do that? What will we take up? Continuous hearing. Shushrusha Shraddadhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchihi Syanmahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. By serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. That is the key. You serve the pure devotees. How to do that? Very, very easy. Oh, it seems to be very, very difficult. Oh, they are so high and we're so low. They are always immersed in loving devotion in their hearts, in their spiritual bodies. They serve the Supreme Lord all the time. But we are quite, attached to the results of our work. We're always bound to be, captivated by illusion. But by simple service, we'll be progressing so much. And how to serve? Oh, it's very easy. What do they need? Or maybe some water, or maybe some facilities, whatever. But most importantly, they need our hearts. most, most importantly, they need our attention, our one-pointed attention. I remember Srila Gurudev was coming to the West, you remember also. So he was saying, I don't need your money. I don't need anything from you. I don't need just your ears. Just lend me your ears. I need your one-pointed attention. So please hear Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what Srila Gurudev was saying. I just want your hearts to be filled with bhakti. That's what Srila Gurudev was telling. So if you want to sing another song, most welcome. And then for another 20 minutes we'll speak and we'll complete. So Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai. Shri Govinda Jai Gopal Keshava Madhava Dinadaya Jai Gopal Keshava Madhava Hari Hari Bo. Shri Jai Jai Shri Ram Bhagavatam Mahapurana Ki Srinatham Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasthaya Bhadrani Vidyanoti Suhritsatam. So what happens after constant hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? So Krishna, who is the best friend of all living entities, comes personally into the heart of a sincere devotee surrendered to the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam and cleanses all the impurities from the heart of that jiva, the living entity. Specifically, Krishna cleanses all the tendencies for sense enjoyment, material enjoyment. So that is the purity of transcendental message of Godhead. So then what will be the result? Nashta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Then by constant hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, the faith which that devotee has will become firm. We have some faith, all of us, more or less. That is called Shraddha. But that Shraddha, at the present moment, mostly is not stable. That is called, Komala. It's quite gentle. It can be moved by anything external. Sometimes we put our faith into some material things. Sometimes again, oh Krishna, help me, like this. But when the devotee is absorbed in constant hearing of the transcendental message of Srimad Bhagavatam, then the impurities are cleansed from the heart, and he is established in Naishtiki Bhakti, in the pure devotional service, firm devotional service. And all the abhadras, all the impurities are almost fully destroyed, almost completely. Nashta prayesh abhadrish, almost fully destroyed. So the presence of the service, stable service to the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead will be established as irrevocable fact. Right now, sometimes it's present, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's like undercover. Some devotees, after serving for some years, disappear and come back like this. But after that person is completely surrendered to the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, serving him, fulfilling his orders, then the attachment to the transcendental pastimes of Krishna being spoken by him will be established as irrevocable fact. What will happen next? Tadara justamo bhava kamaloba dayaschaye cheta eter anaviddam stitam sattva prasidati. So the three modes of nature are ruling us in this world. Sometimes ignorance, tamas, is prevalent. Sometimes rajas, passion, is prevalent. Sometimes sattva or goodness is prevalent. But these are all three material modes. So what happens when one is firmly established in pure devotional service? Then irrevocable loving service, or stitam sattva prasidati, dominated by sattva guna, or established in the heart, dominated by goodness. But then that sattva will become shuddha sattva. That goodness will become pure goodness. And that shuddha sattva is already the reality of spiritual world. In spiritual world, everybody is serving Krishna. Everybody is so happy. In this material world, people sometimes happy, sometimes not. But that service will be stable. And that service, which is on the stable platform, will free one from the attachments to the three modes of material nature. So sattva, or goodness, will become transcendental in the due course. And finally, the devotee will give up this material body and accept purely spiritual body on the level of transcendental emotion, bhava. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. So thus, devotee will be established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, shuddha sattva, shuddha sattva. So that is already the plane of the Supreme Lord, the plane of Absolute, plane of Krishna. So, as we were saying before, our spiritual body will be manifested. So what does that mean? So the practical contact with the Supreme Lord will bring us the platform of liberation of all material association. Then we'll be established in pure bhakti. Then the knot in heart of Hridaya Granthi will be pierced, will be cut completely to pieces. What is that? Hridaya Granthi, that knot in heart, or that is lust, that is the disease of lust. Videte Hridaya Grantish Chidyante Sattva Sarva Samshaya Kshayante Chasya Karmani Drishte Avatmanishvare. Then it will be cut to pieces, and the never-ending chain of fruitive actions will be finished as one sees the Lord as the master. You know, the self means the pure self, that is the individual soul surrendered to the Lord. So here it says to see the Lord as the master, but actually the Lord or the soul is the master. Only in that case when the Lord, when the master or the individual soul is surrendered to the Supreme Master or to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we find our real position. So, therefore here, in this second chapter, the eternal principles of pure devotional service to Krishna are established. That devotional service brings supreme...
PCS 6207, they're blocking somebody. Could you make an announcement, please, Maharaj?
What's that?
PCS 6207.
PCS 627, that car with that number, PCS 627 is blocking someone.
6207.
6207. Please remove that vehicle. Thank you. So, by being established in that process of transcendental devotional service, the soul will be delighted, and that service also will bring Krishna so much delight So Krishna definitely will be so pleased by the service of that devotion, that devotee, and that devotee will receive so much blessings from Krishna, definitely. So, thus Sri Sukadeva Goswami and then Sri Suta Goswami established the highest benefit of devotional service, pure devotional service. So soon after, we will hear many more narrations about how Narada Muni came to Vyas, how Narada Muni inspired Vyasadeva in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and recording Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we'll hear so many other pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Nrisimhadev, of Lord Varahadev, day after tomorrow, some more incarnations. And finally we'll hear sweet pastimes of Krishna. So tomorrow is Ekadashi. All devotees and guests, please pay attention. Tomorrow we're abstaining from grains, and also we're trying to dedicate more of our time for cultivating devotion. Tomorrow, please come at the same time. We'll hear wonderful pastimes of pure devotees related to Ekadashi. That is certainly Ambarisha Maharaj, and also probably King Rukmangad. Let us see. And then day after tomorrow, Varahadvadashi, pastimes of Varahadev will be told. And 3 days after, the great festival of Nityananda Trayodashi, the pure devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, appeared on that day. So I'm very happy. So many devotees and guests came. So now very soon we'll sing Arati and distribute Prasad. If you have any questions or personal questions, most welcome. You can ask either now or later. So Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai, Shri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga ki jai, Paramaraditam Guru Pad Padma ki jai. Once again, we're very happy to have come to Trinidad. Sorry, a bit jet-lagged. If my English sounds okay today. We just come from Spanish region and had to learn some Spanish. So Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai. You want to sing something, or we can sing some kirtan? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, louder. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam Purana ki jai, Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga ki jai, Paramarajitama Guru Padma ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hare Hare. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Now go to Arati. So everybody please stand up.